We'll take 1 second. I'm also going to cut off the chat as well. But it is live now.
Okay, call the meeting in order. Item B is verification of public notice and approval of the agenda.
So moved, approved. Second.
Motion by Barry, second by Brian. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item C, moment of silence to reflect on the business at hand. Item D, the Watoma Area School District Strategic Plan.
Mission statement, creating a positive foundation for the success of our children.
Strategic directions, business and community involvement through internships, job shadowing, and mentorship.
Developing marketing of the district and community through branding.
Improve work and people skills. Develop parental contact for school involvement.
Build productive relationships with the medical field to increase the support and open lines of communication to support students with mental health issues. Item E, recognition of persons wishing to address the board, which we have none. Item F, administrative reports. Tom, anything to add?
Yeah, just so you're aware of sort of where we're going as an administrative team, I sent the email out today. We're going to start doing contingency planning, probably 3 phases of contingency planning. Now, the first phase will be from this point forward to the end of the school year, making the assumption that we're not going to have school for the rest of the year. So at each building, whether it be traditional things like prom, graduation, 8th grade promotion, returning Chromebooks, getting personal effects back out to kids, just all those type of things. We want to have a plan in place for all those. Something like graduation, those are going to probably be a continuum of offerings. So, you know, what's it going to be like? And if they say in June, you can have this many people together, or if they say in July, you can have this many people together, or what if it gets to August and you can't have anybody together? Have a step, everything along the way to be prepared for that. So that's the first phase. The second phase will be summer. What are we going to do in the summer? Are we going to jump on the virtual summer school train? The feeling right now is no, because they just had virtual for the last 2 months, and we feel like that's probably not going to be very effective. Maybe except for high schoolers who need to continue to get some credit, but we need to investigate that. What does food distribution look like in the summer? We've done March in the past. Do we do June in the past? Do we still do June? Do we not do June? The summer school lunch program is what we're getting funded through now. They're going to continue it through June. Obviously, it'd be different. We wouldn't be paying employees at the same rate that we're paying them now. When school's done, that ends. And just all those things. And then the other part of the summer is professional development. For the third contingency, which is worst case scenario, we're not able to come back here next year. And we're not able to have kids come back on the school grounds. What we need to be prepared for that. And so that means what does virtual learning look like in that aspect? What does it look like at the high school level? What's it look like at the middle school level? What's it look like at the elementary level? Preparing that kids are not going to be able to come back here. What's it going to look like for staff furloughing? So again, we have this. I created a 3-page agenda, 3-page document already this morning. First thing we're going to tackle is the rest of the school year. But we're going to meet every Wednesday for 2 hours to start doing a contingency plan for what ifs. And we're going to what if the worst case scenario in every situation to be prepared. For chance they say you can come back to school next year, but you need to bring kids in shifts. Like you can have a 1st grade and 3rd grade this day. You can have, okay, we'll prepare for that. But we want to sort of be prepared for what if they say we can't have anybody? So that's unfortunately where we're at, but I don't want to be caught behind the 8 ball and all of a sudden it's end of July and we're starting to now just start thinking about these things. We need to be thinking about them in April and being prepared and preparing our staff for those things. So just so you know where we're at.
Okay, thank you. No administrators here. Board members, anything? Okay, item G, consent agenda. We have the minutes of the March 2nd, 2020 monthly meeting, the March 15th special meeting, the March 22nd special meeting, and the March 30th closed session.
I'll make a motion to approve items 1A through D.
I'll second it.
Motion by Nicole, second by Jeanette. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 2, staffing. We have a number, but both 2A1, 2, and 2B, 1 through 7. If nobody wants to take any of these out individually, I would entertain a motion to take all of them together.
I'll make a motion to approve 2A 1 through 2 and B 1 through 7.
I'll second that.
Motion by Brian, second by Karen. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 3, policy. We have the 3A, the co-op agreements for wrestling, girls soccer, and golf.
Yeah, and again, just a continuation of what we've had done in the past with both.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion by Jeanette, second by Nicole. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have action items. Item I, 1A, approve the March 2020 treasurer's report.
I'll make a motion to approve it as printed.
Second. Motion by Karen, second by Barry. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 1B, approve the vouchers and payroll.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers and payroll as printed.
Second. Motion by Karen, second by Brian. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 2, policy. 2A, approve the revised and/or new policies for first consideration.
So the 200 pages of policies that you had, a lot of them were redundant. You know, there are different categories of personnel. Some of them were very just technical in nature of just changing a couple words. The social media ones were a little more detailed as far as making selections. But really, this is a time for you. Any questions that you have for me or any corrections that you see, you can make those occur and then bring it back to you in May for second consideration.
Move to approve the revised new policy for consideration.
And I will say, thank you, Barry. I will say, and Ross had asked me this, I do sit down with Steve from Neola and go through every one of these policies up on the computer. And then there are options that we have to pick. And again, I use my professional judgment to try to pick the best options for our district or our community. Usually pretty conservative in my approach. There are some that are a little more liberal as far as what you can allow. Try to take some conservative nature or put a little bit more on me of like decision making. So anyways, thank you, Barry.
I have a motion from Barry,
I'll second it.
second by Nicole. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 2B, exception to policy 5120, assignment within district.
So, and we've discussed this before. I've given you the copy that we do have based on boundaries within our own school district. We have assignment within district, and really it's between K5 at Red Granite, or what will be 4K5 at Red Granite, and K3 at Riverview and 4-5 at Parkside, or 4K3 at Riverview and 4-5 at Parkside. And depending on where you live is the school that you attend. A parent had recently moved in to our school district, and make sure I have it correct here. And so their student attended Riverview or Parkside school. During the year, they moved into the Red Granite part of the boundary, allowed them to continue staying at the school they were at, because I mean, that's appropriate. It was in March, so it wasn't like September and they moved. So it was March, let the child stay there. But I did explain to the parent that based on the policy that next year the child would need to attend Red Granite. Parent was very cooperative. It was all through email, but just asked if I would, because it ultimately, if they do want to appeal to you, they can. And so I'm just going to read this. So, and you have in your packet, it just says parent had requested an exception be made for their student to attend Parkside School instead of Red Granite. The family moved from Watoma part of the assigned area to the Red Granite part of the assigned area in March of 2020. The student is currently in 3rd grade. And I've allowed the student to remain at Riverview for the remainder of this year for the continuity of educational services, but did inform the parent the student must attend Red Granite for 4th and 5th grade according to this policy. According to policy 5120, the district administrator may make an exception to this policy with the approval of the Board of Education. The parent had requested that this exception be made according to the following rationale. The student has been in a few schools in the past couple of years, and as a mom, it breaks my heart to tell the student they will have to switch again after just starting our school district this January. I told her that I was going to recommend the board follow the policy and deny the request for exception. Therefore, the student will need to attend Red Granite Elementary for 2020-2021. This policy was created to remove emotion and any gray area from such decisions. If this exception is approved by the board, gray areas will then be reintroduced into this process, and future cases will need to be heard based on parent requests. Consequently, the board will then need to make case-by-case decisions based on rationale provided by parents, which is why we have the policy in place. So again, my recommendation is that we can follow the policy and the student will need to attend Red Granite Elementary School for the next school year. So I guess if you're looking at the recommendation I would make is to not make an exception for this case. That's my recommendation. And it's up to you.
I think we have to stick with the policy that we have, otherwise I think your rationale backs that up, that it's just gonna be constantly coming in, and unfortunately, who's to say this parent may not move again back over to Watoma? So it's a sad situation, but I think we'd be consistent.
I agree. I mean, exceptions to policy in a situation like this is just a can of worms. It doesn't end, right? It's be constant. Could be constant.
I did explain why it's not personal. I mean,
Right.
we would love to go through, but again, this becomes a time consumer. And again, you got kids going back and forth potentially all the time. So, so that was why I told her I was going to make the recommendation I did.
So on the agenda, you have it being exception to the policy, we're voting to deny it.
So I guess we're looking for a motion to deny the exception to policy 5120.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Nicole, second by Janetti. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried to deny. Item C, approve revised policy 0167.1, voting first and only consideration.
So I put a few policies in your packet. The first policy is bylaws and policies, and it says the board reserves the right to waive the second consideration with a majority vote. So when we go through this policy, my recommendation is going to be that when someone makes a motion, they're making the motion to waive the second consideration for this policy. I did email back and forth with Tony Renning regarding our current voting policy and our current definition policy for holding remote board meetings. Our policy is fine. Our voting policy and our definitions policy of voting. However, Neola, in the meantime, came out with a policy that's a little more bolstered than our voting policy, and that's the one I have included here, and that's the one I'm making a recommendation that we approve first consideration and waive second consideration. So it's similar to our voting policy, but it's a lot stronger in its wording about having remote access or remote participation from board members in regular meetings. And so just to, again, I'm not concerned, but I think it's, with where we're at right now as a society, I think it's good to have a stronger voting policy in place for remote participation. Therefore, that's my recommendation in waiving for second consideration.
Also move to approve the revised policy 167.1, first and only consideration.
Second.
Motion by Barry and a second by Brian. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item J, board governance. Discussion only scholarship readers.
We need 3 volunteers to read the scholarship applications, Ross, for the enrolled on a founding scholarship.
I don't feel like Ken, because Ken's a senior, so.
Do you know when,
I can.
do you know when it is?
Well, I'll provide you with packets via mail, of the applications, and then you guys will meet virtually over the phone, of all the, scholarship applicants, and then you guys discuss it and pick 3 winners.
It's not a big deal, but
No.
would it make more sense to have Barry, Brian, and myself, because we have no relation to anybody graduating
That
this
would
year?
make-
Yeah, I have relation.
Yeah.
Mine didn't apply for anything, so don't worry about it.
Okay, yeah.
So Barry,
He's got you.
Brian, Barry,
You
and.
never know.
I did that. No,
Oh my God.
I've done it many
He's
times.
working
Okay,
fast.
yeah,
You
so
got
I'll
some.
mail, as soon as I get them from Val, I'll send you an email and mail them out as soon as I can.
He's on that plan of.
Ross,
that-
last
that
year you
financial planner guy,
requested
yeah,
that their
that
names
plan.
be taken off of them. Would you like that this year?
It's mom and dad's plan.
Or do you not care?
Did we do that last
I
year?
know you asked me last year if you could remove the names of the
I
kids.
don't think that,
Oh, I just,
as far as I'm looking.
okay.
I didn't know any of the kids I read last year. I mean, I know like
Yeah.
we have 2 names out.
Yeah, he said, mentioned it, how you like.
No, I
I
think,
don't even
I
know
think
why.
it was,
Yeah.
Rotary does it. that
Oh,
way.
that's
They're
what,
the-
yeah.
I didn't say that we should do it, but I
Oh,
think it
okay.
was interesting to me that
Take them,
Rotary does that. They
take their names off.
rely on, in a small
Yeah,
community,
right.
it's kind of,
Yeah,
a-
sure.
Yeah. I just didn't
Any
know if
emotion.
that's what
to
you.
be the only one that my daughter got.
Okay, so sounds good. As
Any
soon as I get those from Val, I'll mail them. We're good to go.
Okay. Item 2, discussion only diploma issuers.
Okay,
I
Jeanette,
like to make sure he
if
gets
and
one.
when.
And even if it's virtual, you're still gonna be there.
Yes. Whenever it happens, we will be contacting.
Yeah.
We'll be ready.
Get ready
Well.
the day before.
And we did
I'd like
put
to be involved, but
You will,
obviously,
yeah.
you know,
And any board member is welcome to attend, and
if
of
we
course,
We will have one.
have my,
have
We
it
have
in,
one.
All right.
We'll have one.
one at a time, man. One.
We did put a senior video out too, just sort of talking about postponements and that. So,
Even if it's 10 at a time, we'll get them done.
Yep.
10 every hour.
10.
These are all day.
It's okay. What do we
No
have
big
to?
deal.
Yeah, what else do we have to
I
do?
don't have
nothing else to
We'll have
do,
water and
guys.
snacks.
We can start right now and get 10 done right now. I mean, really.
Your top
We
10,
would, we
huh?
would make it just one at a
Yeah.
time.
All right. Got plenty of
Until it's
time.
warmer.
Yeah, true, true.
August. Thank you.
item 3, discussion only legislative update. Anything?
Really, the only items that I kind of talked earlier about, just what you guys are probably all aware of. They haven't been back in session, so everything is basically,
They're coming back.
yeah, they are.
Tomorrow, right?
Yeah, that's what they're talking about.
Coming back to do nothing.
Well, talk about the money coming in. That's,
Yeah.
the plan.
Yeah.
Stimulus.
But there's just more of it's hearsay, more of it's analyzing information, nothing's concrete, so they're kind of in a larger form than we are, but they're basically doing the same thing we're doing. On the run, learning on the run and trying to determine what has to go where. So until they have more concrete information, make more concrete decisions, there's not much to report.
I think the situation with the election just shows you exactly the state of Madison today and the divided parties. Not much going on. Okay, item 4, discussion only the Watoma Area School District Unification and Retention Plan.
Seems like a year ago, that we handed this out in the Red Granite Gym. And we were gonna talk about it March 30th, but again, just how everything went, we decided to wait. So the plan had, 2 front and backs. And again, it was, just to recap, it was the work of meeting with, end up being teachers, who met, regarding, some ways to unify, the staff or to retain teachers. I also shared with you a collection of information that I got from CISA 5 regarding who else provides like a 403B matching program, who else does a financial incentive package for not taking health insurance, just so you would have that. The 403B piece for the other districts is very, it's all over the place. I mean, it just depends on history of certain districts and when, before Act 10 and after Act 10, and some districts only do it for teachers or administrators. They don't do it for their whole staff. So I believe the plan that we put in place is very consistent. It's for all staff, not just teachers, not just administrators. And I believe it's financially possible for both of them, and I guess before I go too far in here, I guess after you guys looked at it, any questions or thoughts that you had about just the 403B and the financial incentive piece for not taking health insurance? Any thoughts that you guys had on that, or concerns, or I mean anything?
Nothing there.
No, I think for me, you look at what was proposed, and I know a lot of people were involved with this. It took a lot of time to come up with these ideas. I thought basically all the ideas were great and they're important to these people. And I think you look at what we've done as a board over the last 3, 4, 5 years is pretty much at every turn when we've asked for, new teachers to reduce the student to teacher ratio. When we've asked for a lot of things that have a direct impact on the students, we've been able to do them. And this is another one. You talk about the hidden cost of constantly training new teachers. It's hard to quantify that. And I think, if you look at what this is, we have quantified what this plan is going to cost us if we implement it as presented. And I think, it's there's some sticker shock there. It's not free, but I think you continue to experience the turnover that many rural districts like us have. This is money well spent, in my opinion.
And one of my pet peeves since I've been on this board is it's teacher retention, turnover. It's invest in your people, keep them. I think this addresses that. Fully supportive.
And with this being said, my recommendation would be to hold a little bit on it though, until we see what happens with funding. And see where that comes. And really there is no hurry for this. I mean, it's not something we're gonna start until the next school year anyways. So we could implement it really anytime we wanted to. We could do it in August, we could do it in September. It might be nice again to see what kind of, that is the rhetoric out there right now is how much is going to go towards public education, how much is not, and things like that. And I think until we get some definitive numbers, I think it pays to just hold a little bit. I mean, it does seem feasible to everybody here, just waiting a little bit before we would roll this out to staff. But I do appreciate your support on this. I mean, they really did put, Eric Highlander was, he was behind the afternoon group of really putting some things together. And again, there was a group with Andy DeKaiser, Ian Zertler, Eric Pilsel. There was a group that really worked hard on that. This component, I mean, everybody had their piece of this component. They really put a lot of time and effort into research. And again, compared to the other districts that have it, ours is not way out of line. However, I don't think ours is way underpaid either. It's what I believe is much more consistent than some of the others that I have in the district that I provided you. So, and it's for everybody. Again, I also have a hard time with that too, of saying, hey, teachers, administrators, you're going to get the 403B program, but paraprofessionals, if you want to put $500, we're not going to match yours, or secretaries or cooks or whatever. If you're going to have a comprehensive staff or a cohesive staff, I mean, I think you need to offer up to everybody that opportunity. It's going to hit everybody's pocketbook differently, right? I mean, if a support staff member puts $500 towards a 403B, it's going to be more out of their wage or their salary or their hourly wage than it is out of teachers. But at least they have that opportunity if they would like to do that. I don't want to deny anybody.
I agree, it's prudent to wait, to we better understand the funding, but I think it should be loud and clear to the group that put in all this effort that we're definitely as a board behind.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Thank you. The next step would really less pay, not really pay oriented, but were just some things that were really strong. And I know, again, we talked about some of these things before, and they, from a layperson's perspective, they may seem, I don't say the word silly, but just things that are important to them. But I think it just comes to how they feel about being at work. And again, the big thing that came up over and over again was Jeans Days on Fridays. It's a really big deal, and it came up numerous times across the groups of how important that was to them to just sort of be casual, to feel comfortable where they work, and just they just sort of feel better, and knowing that they could wear some Watoma stuff or some Green Bay Packers stuff on that day if they wanted to, and wear jeans. And It was a big deal to them. The other part underneath there on this page was looking at doing sick leave and paid time off differently. And again, I laid that out for you. The other part was a very simple thing is if they live in the community, they get 5 points per year just for living in the community towards their community outreach on the outcome. That's easy. I mean, just they submit for it, they get their 5 points, and it's something for living in the community. And the other part was just giving them opportunities for subbing, in-house subbing, and they could get paid or they could get 4 points for each period they sub, again, under community outreach on the outcome plan. So again, I don't call them little things, but I will say they're things that don't cost a lot of money up front, and it meant a lot to them that they brought them up and was important to them. Thoughts from you guys on those?
Just the jeans, obviously, they be respectful, we're not gonna start the holy jeans and all that
Correct.
stuff.
Yeah, professional.
Professional looking, I don't want it to be a totally dressed down day, you can still look nice with them.
And some of these I would, if we're okay with it, I'm gonna have to bring back the professional dress code policy and change that piece of it, revise it. The other pieces would be things in the employee handbook that we would make those changes during the summer in the employee handbook. Again, communicate out to the staff how that's gonna look. So, any other thoughts on those things at all? And I again, just to go back to the jeans thing, because I know that's, I mean, I'm getting that age. I don't really wear jeans as much anymore. So I mean, I get that, but it was very sincere. Like it wasn't like somebody trying to get one over on, like we want to wear jeans. It was just like, hey, we feel very comfortable. Like on a Friday, there's a football game at home. We have our jeans, we have our Hornet stuff on. We just feel very comfortable with that. It was again that just sort of that. It was more of a comfort and casualness of their environment. Yeah, that was it. It wasn't trying to get. I didn't take it at all. We want to get one over. It wasn't. None of this came across as that. This is just something we would really like. So.
I think back when I was in high school, the big thing was polyester slacks.
Whoa.
I'm glad we don't have to wear those.
Well, I did say jeans or polyester.
Or polyester.
Very good. That's fine.
When I went to school, you could only wear not jeans, pants on football.
You gonna carry your birch bark in your purple in your class or?
And then the last piece again really is not was not board items, but it's just things that I think we would like to move forward with as an admin team and just as a district is, looking at the staff recognition plaques, the monthly appreciation. Again, one that's I don't think it's as big a deal because if we go to the paid time off, but it's teachers don't make up severe emergency days unless the kids have to come back and make them up. But hourly employees can use paid time off. They can do no pay, or some of them still have, if you've been here before a certain day, you can get vacation, you still have vacation days. So they could use that time to offset if we miss for snow. Doing the stay interviews, starting working on like a benefits flyer and then a welcome package, and then that one item of Hornet attire from the staff. So again, things that will be a little bit of cost, but again, I think go a long ways for being welcoming to people coming in and paying homage to the people who've been here for a long time. So any questions or comments on those things at all?
Well, thank you for digging up that information too. I think, looking at the different schools in the CISA 5, I mean, you're never gonna have two schools that are alike, but it's nice just to see, I mean, there are 17 districts that don't do anything with 403B.
Yep.
And there are some districts that do it, much less.
Yeah.
Much fewer, but it's good to know kind of where we are, and if it's valuable to the employees, let's get after it.
Yeah. Got it. And I think, my communication out to I'll probably communicate out to the team first that did all the work on this and say, listen, our intent right now is this is a go, but we're going to put just a hold on the financial piece until we can see what our revenue looks like for next year. But our intent is to move forward with it as soon as we can. And then the other pieces are done. And I'll start working on all those policies and employee handbook stuff.
The polyester.
Polyester.
Yeah, polyester in there.
They're worth money now. I hope you kept it.
Fire hazard.
Thank you. I appreciate your support in this. I mean, it was a lot of time, it was a lot of effort, but it was really enjoyable. Eric and Katie were part of it. They were both there, and
Okay, anything else on that? Item 5, discussion only, 2020-2021 Student of the Month Board Meeting Presentation Structure.
Just, now that we're sort of in this interesting time, just thinking in my head, Student of the Month is something we've been doing for a long time. It's very valuable. I went to the administrators and, they really want to do Student of the Month in the building, so they love doing it. And I just said, how do you feel like your families would feel if we didn't have them come to the board meeting? And here's just the rationale of asking the question. They come for 5 to 10 minutes. They right around supper time, the teachers come and present, and they're not here very long. And then in the winter months, they come out, it's cold and all that type of stuff. And even the one meeting when kids were sick and we had only 1 out of 4 show up. And so I guess I just wanted the board's vibe about, we would still continue it at the school structure because it's a big deal. What are your thoughts about not having it being brought to the board meeting?
I think it stays in the school, but I'd be okay with it not coming to the board. I think them getting accoladed from their building is really what matters, and I think you hit on the head, the 5 to 10 minutes. Maybe that child dies, it's worth it, but I don't know, I thought the goal was really to get people to come and stay at the meetings, and really it's like, come, say, go.
Yeah.
And so I think they get that accolation at their school level, and that's really what it's about, I think, in my opinion.
And their parents are from the K-8 level, the parents are invited to the school with their student.
There's a bigger audience in your school.
As long as the student, has that same feeling of pride and accomplishment by receiving it. I hope it just doesn't, I hope that same excitement takes place within the schools that would in front of the board or in front of.
Could you
It's
ask
just-
them?
It's just a
to add
different
an
atmosphere
option?
for them to be at the board. That's the only thing
Yeah.
that would be different. They're seeing people that obviously run the entire district. So you can always see that nervousness, especially even in the high school. You can see that.
What will the high school do? Because I know the other buildings get together. like,
Yeah,
does the high school-
that would be the only change that would have to take place, or not change, but just addition would be some type of recognition of the high school person, because at the K-8 level, they're recognized in front of the whole school. So at Parkside, there's like 500 kids, the parents, the staff. I mean, it's a really big deal. They create a tunnel out. Riverview, same thing. Right, granted, they do it in front of the school. High school would be the only one we'd have to create some type of situation, which we could. I mean, it's not like we couldn't do it.
Or does the high school come? Maybe high school's the only one that comes to the board meeting, because they're now in high school.
Because we talked about giving them the option, but they were like, okay, well then one school's gonna come, another one's not, and people are gonna be like, how come we didn't come? I mean,
Yeah,
we we didn't want that to become a competition of who comes. And who
But the high
doesn't.
school, don't they have the billboard in the front?
Yeah, they
door
put their
that-
thing up, they put the photo up on the thing, but they could do, I mean, there could be some type of thing. I mean, when kids go to state, they have them walk the circle, they could have the student of the month walk a circle and, if they wanted to, I don't know,
Optional.
have the band play, but I mean, there could be ways to make it happen.
I guess I enjoyed listening to the teachers too. That's the first time I get to meet the teachers, because with my daughter only being in high school, I don't go to the other schools.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed meeting the teachers and saying what they taught and did too.
Do any of the parents ever complain about coming? I mean, they all seem to be glad to leave.
No, I
as soon as
don't,
it's
I
over
don't
with,
think
but-
anybody's ever received a complaint.
So,
It's something, and I don't know logistically how you handle it with as many events as there are, but it's not even I don't see why one couldn't be done at a home sporting event when they have,
Yeah.
at halftime, or this month,
Yeah,
well, that's true.
students of the month at every school. I
Yeah.
mean, announce that.
or at least a high school.
At least the high school.
Yeah, at least a high school, that'd be nice to do.
I mean, what did the administrators say when you asked? Was it unanimous? They thought,
Yeah, and they were fine. They just said, they didn't think anybody would be mad about it. Like, like as far as parents, they didn't think anybody would be upset about it. And I think they all know, Sam's the high school, that they make a huge deal about it. At the other 3 buildings, it's a big production, at those buildings. So they know that it's, I don't want to say anticlimactic to come to the board meeting, but, it's, they've already been recognized by their peers and they read it off in front of everybody and everybody sort of waits, it's a
The
big deal.
parents get invited to that.
Yep.
If they can't come to that.
Yes, you get it right in the head there, it should be a big deal.
Yeah.
And it should be something important.
Yeah.
Something that-
Well, especially in front of your peers.
Right.
I guess I just noticed that the attendance was sort of declining a little bit, and it is right during supper time, and I don't know, I mean, I just
kids in sports, it seemed like they were
Yeah, that was.
Never.
very often not there.
then if you have a teacher who lives in Wapaka and then they stay and then they gotta go home, I mean, just just all those things. I mean, I just thinking,
You know, we could try one year with the high school.
I would,
Have that like during the sports things. I think that's a
Yeah, I
nice
think that's
idea.
yeah, you always,
There's always a
back.
sport every
Yeah.
month, really.
I would leave it up to my administrators and let us know what your decision is. And then I would think we would support you in that case.
Okay.
And just see what.
I'll bring it back up again and say you guys are supportive of it again. Any second thoughts, and I'll bring up the high school, like doing an event. And yeah, even if we don't have an event one month, like we can wait till the next month and bring, you know, the October, November to a basketball game type
right.
thing. Yeah. Okay, we'll do.
Okay, item 6, discussion only, the WASB state convention reports.
Yeah, seems again like a long time ago, two
Yeah.
months, 3 months. Yeah, I know you guys wanted to maybe reflect on things you attended or any discussion that you wanted to have about things that you attended in the middle of January.
Yeah. The one that I had was from Sun Prairie School District, and Brian, you can look at that, so you can help me remember. I think what caught my eye was that I think it would fit well after you announced your second year and the evaluation. What it seemed to be they for their evaluations, it goes on the superintendent's goals, strategic goals. And that's how they're evaluated. So we would no longer use that other paper form we've been using, because now we're really digging into what your goals are. And that there's a district strategic plan, then there's a district scorecard, and then there's school scorecards and department scorecards. Everything leads back up to that strategic plan. We are only involved with then you on whoever you had for your goals, that's what we evaluate you on. We would no longer be using our things. But you can bring in the school scorecards to support your goals or whatever it is out there. That one caught my eye when I was there. Their PowerPoint wasn't like that fancy. I mean, I'll give it to you. You can decontaminate it, but yeah, that's basically the one that caught my eye, was that one. I don't remember anything else from that.
You saw it as an improvement to the.
I thought it was an
the
improvement
form that
instead of
we
doing the long
chose.
paper form, yeah, so we got that established with you. We know what we were evaluating on. I feel if we keep just using that same form now, I want to dig into them. What are your goals now, which you gave to us? Now let's create what is it we're really looking for on there to go with you. So then on here, what they do is, other things are brought into play to support. You might be bringing in, if one of your goals was about attendance, you might bring in then from, the state reporting, how attendance is, retention, the staffing, you bring in your data to kind of support that, and it creates a whole, they have like a program they must use and stuff like that, so.
I can make copies of that and I'll just give it back to you.
Yeah. That's what I liked. The Muskego had something, it's such a long time, about creating strategic plans, but I think you already have that well established. They did a nice presentation on, the SMART goals, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. So the one that caught my eye was that one, actually.
Thank you.
Mhm.
One of the things that we followed up on and we actually had on the schedule for the 30th was the human trafficking piece.
Yeah.
And have we rescheduled that?
Not yet. I was gonna just sort of wait and see where we end up at, but I mean, she'll come in anytime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want to lose that. That was
Yep.
really, really interesting
Yeah.
and an eye opener for me. And I understand since then that we do have a program in place, and I just think it would be interesting for us to.
I'll see how comfortable she is coming in May, if she's comfortable coming to a meeting.
Yeah, we don't have to push it. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I just don't want to lose.
No, no worries, and she works for us, so it's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, she does a great job. We're very fortunate to have her, and just her passion, and I mean, her passion really came from outside of here, sort of faith-based, and then she wraps that around in the school setting and works with our middle schoolers and presents, when we allow her to present to other school districts.
Does she have anything online that people can click on and look at and see?
I don't
what
know if she has a
does?
website or not.
Is that
She's really techy.
I mean, that would be very interesting,
Yeah.
so,
Well, I'll email and find out, if so I can pass it on to you guys.
yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen one.
Cause
but I'll
like now with kids being home and everything,
That's my worry right now, like, kids being home right now.
they get a little bit more,
It's a legitimate word.
I'm just thinking, is there something she could put on our school website right now? I mean, people are
yes.
putting things on the
She
community
has,
Facebook page.
she has. We put a couple things out. She sent us a couple posts.
Yeah.
Jessica Bellmeyer sent us some stuff from A-Stop too,
Mhm.
which is also sort of the sexual abuse.
Yep.
And so, yeah, they've both given us some really good information. Yeah. Some stuff from the FBI, just again, a watered down version of the FBI, again, watching what your kids are on online, watching for predators, things of that sort. Now the kids are online more. So, yeah, Janelle sent us 2 links, and like Jessica sent us 2 links.
And then,
I don't consider myself naive to these things. I was just amazed at the numbers, just at the amount, the sheer volume of this trafficking problem in communities like Appleton, who knows where else, right? It's here.
I guess one of my classes, well, it's charter schools.
Sure.
Don't have to talk about that, 'cause kind of doing that right now. And the other one was cell phones, and the big program that they had was called Away for the Day. The kids came into school and they put their phone away for the day. And the only time they got to do it was like morning, when the morning bell rang, and then when they were done with school at night. And they said how much that just helped. And it was all different school districts that were there. But I liked how they said away for the day. They didn't say no cell phones. They didn't go that way. They just said, let's put them away for the day. And yeah, they had a big they have a big thing online that you can look at. Plus
That's
they
the
have,
program.
that's the program. Plus they have the policies and everything there, and it's free. Yep. I really like the word away for the day, because they even noticed in their district, some of these districts, when the kids went out to work, how their workforce, a lot of people said, these kids are working now. They're not feeling like they have to have
Fluid.
that.
Missing
Yep.
something.
And there was less fighting, there was less everything. Because they really had to wait until they away for the day. They just called it.
some schools started like at lunchtime, no phones at lunch, which you think would be the opposite, because they wanted to encourage kids to talk at lunch.
Yes,
And
and that
it was a
was the big
shock for
thing.
kids to actually look at somebody across the table and have a conversation, because they're used to having their phones, as we see in restaurants, people are on phones.
Oh,
you know,
everybody,
Yeah.
you know. But, yeah, I mean, I think the problem will be with the phones is retraining some parents, stop texting your kid during the day. That's our issue, I think.
The school has phones.
And
Yeah,
that's
right,
what,
right.
and that's what they
Everyone else
reminded them.
We got a lot of
But
them.
they wanna, text their kid right now, why can't your kid's in school? They're in our building.
But it'd be no different than being at work.
I know, but.
And I think more parents are getting behind it. I think it's definitely,
Yeah.
it's swaying the other
Yeah,
way. For a
yeah.
while, we were fighting a wave
yeah.
that we couldn't fight. I feel that wave is turning, and I think after kids are home with their parents
yeah.
now, that's a good wave. They're gonna wanna be like,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah,
I
yeah, we'll
like
do.
it
Thank you.
looked at for beginning of school year. or
And-
something then.
Charter school, just so you know, Jennifer Johnson and I have been speaking about a potential, like just starting to investigate something through Tamara Wheaton's program of, I don't even know how to quantify it yet, but some type of program where this IT piece, this computer science piece, because when you get in this charter school situation, you can, really the state requirements are out the door, and you can really go whatever route you want to have someone graduate. So if you had someone like a student who's a high flyer, who may want it to be done in 3 years, why can't they go in this alternative track in the same breath that maybe somebody who's at risk could also go in that
Mhm.
track? It doesn't have to be just for at-risk kids. And then does that make our district more appealing for kids who maybe want to go that route of some type of training?
Yeah.
So I mean, we got the Fox Valley Tech piece in hand. We got the welding, we got the industrial maintenance. We really don't have that IT computer piece. I mean, a little bit. I mean, Penny Meek does a little bit. Eric did a little bit but not that legitimate where they're getting, and that's where the jobs are right now, the coding, the software engineering, things like that.
Can you check into Racine? I don't know which high school it is. I was across the field from it, and I was asking if they had an automotive garage there in their high school. I don't know
Okay.
which Racine high school it was. And they started telling me, and I'm wondering if it is part of a track, a charter school. And they said when the kids enter the high school, it's kind of what you said, they kind of pick a track.
Mhm.
You can switch your track, but all your academics are built around that track. So if I want to go into automotive, this is your English, math, science,
Yep.
everything.
And you're not held to the
Yes.
state.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, and I was just enthralled with it, going, okay, what if I wanted to, your path is that? I'm
Yeah.
like, this is where we need to be in this generation, for
Yep.
these kids. I think we're kind of
Yeah.
wasting some time with some of
And I
that.
think we're right on the cusp of that.
Yeah.
And we have the people who can do it. And so, so now it's, unfortunately, it takes a couple of years to get through that
Yeah.
whole charter program, but there's no reason we couldn't start investigating next fall. You apply for the grant, and then the grant gives you a year of money to research, implement, You buy resources, you can't buy staff, you can't buy transportation, but you can get it ready and bolster it and have it ready to go. But I think we're right on that edge of
Now,
people that could do
Grant
that.
or charter, would it be, you're applying for a grant, or would it be?
No,
a
this
grant?
is the charter school grant
So
through
that'd be
the
a separate,
state.
it'd be a separate board then, all that too.
Well, so you guys would be the authority board
But it'd be
of the
different.
money,
Yeah.
but they would
Separate
be,
board.
you'd have an advisory, so I could foresee like business members. And I was telling somebody, I said, oh, Peter Culver's ever busy, we could put him on one more committee, but you get people in the business world who work with IT, who work with computers, you get some parents on there, can't be anybody from the school, so it's gotta be that community piece, but I'm like, and the nice thing is you don't, it's nice to be part of a school and not be the whole school, because once you do that, you give it all away, like the whole school away, because then it opens up to everybody. Where if you do a component of the high school, we can have a little more control over that piece. And I think it's nice to have that different track for kids coming through.
Now, what about sports then? If we chartered those kids?
Yeah, they can still
Yeah,
do
they can
anything.
still
Yep.
do the
Yeah,
sport.
yeah, they're not held. It's a really interesting
It is,
avenue.
yeah.
Yeah, they really give you a lot of freedom, and the key is to find the right people to do it, like the right teachers.
Yeah.
But it gives you 2 years to try to find those people.
Mine also was on this charter school, and Sarah, she used to be Sarah
Yeah.
Welch is the person.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
Her last name is Hackett.
Yeah,
In what she said too, the size of the school can be anywhere from 15 kids to 1,000.
Yeah,
And that there's like $95 million available. And about $8,000 per student. And if we ever wanted to
you contact her,
contact
Yeah.
her.
yeah.
But she graduated from Watoma.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know, sir. Yeah, so what the federal government does is they divvy out the charter school money to all the states.
Mhm.
And then the DPI then runs the charter school grants out. And then there's this place in Tomahawk, it's like the charter school resource. And so anything you want to know about charter schools, you call
Yeah.
the Tomahawk, and they have like, that's where the guru is up there. Yeah, so,
She was good. I enjoyed
yeah,
that.
Sarah's a good person.
Yeah, she was just so excited.
Where's she housed out of, Karen? Where's she at? You know?
She lives down in Madison.
Did she give you that?
She gave me her number, the 920-213-2705.
What, say it again, Karen.
Oh, it's 920-213-2705. And her last name is Hackett.
I think she was part of Montello when they.
Montello,
when they
yeah.
were- They,
Yeah.
did they go charter for a while? They were going
Yeah, they
to-
had that one elementary was like
She was-
environmental.
She, I think, was there for a while.
So was Sarah Toskis, I think, Sarah Jarvis.
Yeah,
She
I
was
think,
there also.
yeah.
Anyway, there's some information here. But
Okay.
anyway.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else from the convention? Item 7, discussion only, school board photo.
You need to take a picture, and if there's social distancing involved, we're gonna just take headshots in May. And it's gonna look really good,
Polyester next
and it's
time.
gonna look really good on the July calendar, it's gonna be like your
That's if
head.
they can get haircuts by then.
Oh, no, it's gonna be the COVID hair.
It's
COVID
gonna be the
thing.
COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I got spray
Good.
bottles.
Good to be both.
So FYI, you're getting your picture taken no matter what.
Mine's good,
Okay, so that's for May? Yeah.
For
because Zach
sure.
will be here then. So.
Headshot.
If you got any votes, if
What
you got,
about,
We
what
gotta get
about
votes.
this
Yeah.
big senior photo craze, we all put our senior picture?
Can't find mine.
You can't?
I found
I
mine.
was waiting for yours.
I got it.
Hang it. Oh, no, bring it, bring it.
Don't do that.
That would be really good.
Don't do that.
Delete that off.
That is not
camera.
nice.
Okay, item 8, discussion only the oath of office.
Okay, so, we're gonna be canvassing on April 16th at 8:30. So if you, Karen and Adam could come in any day after that between then and the 26th of April, call the district office and take the oath.
Oh,
We'll give
So
it to you.
just
Yep,
call
I
me.
can give it to you. You just read it to me and we sign a
Okay.
paper.
So before when?
Before the 20, it's Sunday, so the 25th.
24th. Friday the 24th.
Yeah,
Come in
that's
before the
Friday the
24th.
24th.
Before
So,
the.
yeah, after
Okay.
the 16th, before the 24th, so like a week.
Go in the center.
But they have to come in and do it.
Yep, they have to do it in person.
But we
And we can
can't,
do more
we
in one.
can't count.
So where,
Yeah.
where do we come?
Just
The
so you
district
got-
meeting. The district office,
You have to let her know and she'll.
I'll open the door.
Okay.
It's
'cause I was
locked
thinking, I
up.
thought that was closed.
We're here, we're there.
But we can't do the head count. until
You'll reach out to
16.
Adam.
Just
Yeah,
do
and I'll
someone
call.
mail.
Between the 16th and 24th. Make sure
Yeah.
you call her.
And we'll have all of his gear too, like his iPad and all that.
What are they gonna do then for new school board members? Usually they have that CISA stuff, are they gonna just do
The
stuff
webinar.
online
It's
or?
virtual, it's a
virtually?
webinar for him to watch, so we can give him the link.
Yeah, but
There's like 3 dates, I think, he already has it.
Zoom.
zoom it up.
Doesn't get as much fun as Brian.
Okay, item 9, discussion only election of officers.
Just wanted to remind people, so obviously with all this going on, if for some reason next in May is election of officers, if someone decided they wanted to be remote and more than one person was nominated for a position, it would not be a secret ballot. It would be a roll call of ballot, just so you're aware of that. Now, if everybody's here and more than one person gets nominated for a position, then it could be secret ballot. But just what they said you can try to do secret ballot via remote, but they discourage it greatly legally. WSB said so. Just wanted you guys to be aware of that, just so you had that in your back pocket.
Okay, item K, board suggested future agenda items for our monthly meeting on May 11th.
I just want to bring a couple things before you guys can. Within the school board policy, there's a policy on graduation requirements. And in the state of Wisconsin, you have to have 15 credits. Wautoma High School requires 24 credits, so 9 more than the core that the state, and that's normal. However, with this taking place, we're going to have some seniors that are right up to the 24, so they might have 22, 23. They have all their core, but they might have been going to do some type of elective credit or some work study. So I guess I'm asking your permission here, rather than have to bring this back to you in May. I'm hoping that you'd be willing to trust Jennifer and I to look at these on a case-by-case basis of seniors. I don't want a senior not graduating because they couldn't get an elective credit this last semester. If they don't have their core credits, we're not going to pass them through. That wouldn't have taken place anyways. But if anybody has any concerns about that, I mean, we can bring it to closed session in May for you guys to review. But if you trust Jennifer and I and Brian to go through those with the counselors, I guess that's what I'm asking.
As long as it's not my kid, I'm good with it. It is, let's talk.
I mean, it's not core, right? I think that's the key.
We're talking probably a handful of students, not many students at all.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure. The other thing to keep in mind a little bit is that, and I know you've read this, but when this occurred, this also put a lot of burden on kids, especially older kids. And they're not able to do some things that they would have been able to do in school because they're watching their siblings and they're doing other things. And we also have teen parents. And so just some things to keep in mind. And so that those are the kids we're really looking at of like, they got their core done. They're really close to that 24. We don't want this to be an obstacle. They're not getting the diploma. So that's it.
No, I think you're taking a very smart stance. I think Watoma's taking a very smart stance with everything. I mean, the districts I hear from my colleagues, some of them are just shameful of what they're expecting of the kids and the families right now. I can't imagine. So I applaud Watoma for what you guys are doing. Smart.
Thank you. We had somebody nationwide put out a top 10 things not to do for virtual learning, and I sent it out to all the administrators, and we're not doing any of those things. I mean, like it was just things like you should never do. And
Some are still doing GPAs.
yeah,
Or
Yeah.
not Watoma, it was Wisconsin, but a parent in another state put on Facebook, we're quitting homeschooling. We love our teacher, but as a parent, we're done.
yeah,
You know, some schools have just gone so crazy.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Yep.
Can't do it.
I think we've tried to walk that balance of being very responsive to the kids, the families, staying in contact with people as much as we can.
That's the main thing.
I asked the question to Tom earlier that, do we have the ability to see if there are kids just doing nothing? And of course we do. I think there's very little of that, but we need to be reaching out to those kids if something is completely lost.
It's increasing a little more now,
Of course.
as we get along, but I explained to Rosa, Mrs. Johnson has a document, Mrs. Primo has a document, and they just, it's like their grid, if they haven't heard from a kid for a while, like they're reaching out to those kids. Hey, what's going on? Try
The
to get
teachers have been good too. Like I got an email right away of so-and-so in my household didn't have something done. And
Yeah.
so I texted that so-and-so and boy, it was done within 5 minutes. So
Yeah, they try. I mean, and they're trying to not be like browbeating
No.
about it. It's like, they just don't want anybody to lose focus. So,
And you gotta understand what these kids are losing out on a very important part of the end of their high school career.
Mm-hmm.
Where the other classes, of course, they're suffering too, but they're gonna come back.
Yeah.
And be able to put an end in a, an asterisk on their career where these kids have missed out on some very important
Mhm.
things in their education career, which they'll never get back. So,
And not everybody has good internet, like, I'm supposed to have 3 people on the internet, I only can have 1 at a time. I just don't have power enough
Yeah.
internet, and I'm sorry, but the high school kid comes first.
Yep.
'Cause
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. I mean, that's what you have to do.
In your
You know?
contingency plan, like Mosby, they have school buses going to remote locations with Wi-Fi on it, or that could be kind of, if we have to go into the fall.
I think we would literally look at trying to get hotspots, cellular hotspots
Okay.
and get away. You know, my fear about the bus thing a little bit is now you're just bringing them all back together
Oh,
again.
Well, they're in their cars, they're supposed to be in their cars
Yeah.
parked around it.
But even then, I don't even know if we would get families to
Yeah,
be able to bring them per se.
Yeah, right.
We've been talking about getting hotspots, yeah, to give out to parents. And again, and then the ultimate question is even with a hotspot, if you can't get cellular data at your house, which happens in this county,
Yep.
then we'd have to have another angle of how we're gonna get them, which may be a bus situation.
Can they go down to the library? The
library.
Libraries still, I mean, they can stand outside of them.
They can
We have,
go by.
there are people who park outside of Fox Valley Tech to
Are they?
get to the Wi-Fi,
Sure.
some of the Fox Valley Tech students.
Because I know if they coming down to the parking lot at the library, they
But if
can
you
get
have
on.
if you have a parent that still works and you don't have,
Yeah.
you know,
They don't have a vehicle to get
Yeah.
out there, they
Yeah.
can't stand
if
outside.
you have parents that are still working,
Yep.
Yeah,
for sure.
It is.
they're still handing out packets for the little kids,
Little
so that, we look forward to that.
Yeah, we would, in that worst case scenario, that's what we would have to do, is give physical copies, if we just couldn't make any of the technology work. That'd be pretty rare, I think, eventually.
And we,
Eric's been, I'm not saying it because he's in here, but Eric has been doing a phenomenal job, and that was one of your transfers on the consent agenda. As soon as this occurred, we transferred him from his teaching position right into the director of technology. Because as you can imagine, it's been insane, and the whole situation with Zoom now blowing up. We never did get on the Zoom bandwagon with students, and I'm glad, and Eric was a big part of that. I'm glad we didn't. Staff were still allowing to use, but they still have not come out with guidance to say whether they want students on Zoom or not. So we're using Google Meet and other avenues. So, but Eric configured just again to brag him up a little bit here. We now have the ability for staff members to call from their phones. They'll put an app on their phone from Mitel, correct? It's a Mitel app, and so I can call from my cell phone, and it looks like it's ringing out of my phone from my office. So yeah, so now teachers can call from their cell phones, but the phone number coming in says Parkside School. Yeah, so that way they can use their personal phones, nobody has the number, and then vice versa, they can also check their voicemails on their school phones, because people can then call that.
good.
Yeah, so Eric got that all worked out within a couple days, and so now teachers can contact that way, not have to come into school.
It's amazing.
It is amazing, yes.
Yes.
Oh, one more, Ross, I apologize. On finance on May 7th, obviously Brian and Karen will be there, but obviously Tom Dalkey will not, and Adam, well, we don't know where he's gonna be anyways. But if any of you, Barry, Ross, Jeanette, or Nicole, if you guys were interested on being on finance, like maybe one time, maybe you like us so much you want to be on it forever.
What, May 7th?
May
Yeah.
7th at 8:30, right here.
What day?
It's a
Thursday.
Thursday morning. You're good, Barry? All right, May 7th on Thursday, okay. 8:30. Cindy will be here also.
Anything else? No?
I don't think.
Anybody else? Agenda items at this point? If not, let us know. If there's nothing else, entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for everything, guys.
What's the last day of school for